Minister of Works, David Umahi, says the federal government is open to negotiating the release of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, but warned against using it as a political condition for Southeast support. Speaking to journalists in Lagos, Umahi stressed that President Tinubu did not put Kanu in detention and any release would come through dialogue, not pressure. He praised Tinubu's leadership and dismissed claims of Southeast marginalization, noting increased regional inclusion. He ruled out any 2027 presidential ambition, pledging full support for Tinubu's re-election and urged Southeast leaders to unite behind national development efforts. Chidi Okoro, what do you make of this statement by David Umahi and then the moves, apparently that's what's cooking right now, the possibility of release of Nnamdi Kanu. What do you have to say?
I want to say that Umahi just wants to, perhaps, or probably he has seen that the fruit is almost ripe. Yes. He wants to be reckoned among those who supported or spoke out concerning the release of Nnamdi Kanu. All this while, Dave Umahi has not said anything. He has just been mute concerning the detention of Nnamdi Kanu, and suddenly now he wants to speak. And I say he's speaking late, because already there are moves going on the release of Nnamdi Kanu. The Eastern governors have made the move. The political elite have also made that move. And you see that even the court have almost come to an end on his trial. So, Dave Umahi is coming late too. And again, he spoke like a politician. Yes, he spoke like a politician. So, let me...
Whenever you mention politician, honorable react, honorable.
I think probably this man wants a regime change. Let him tell the world that he wants a regime change.
he has it for politicians, and unfortunately you are here today. So he will take every opportunity to bring politicians into the mix. But then, with respect to Nnamdi Kanu's story, what do you have to say to that, and then the politicking around it?
Well, let me start with what Odumogojuku said many months before he died. He said the first war was necessary, but the second wouldn't be. The implication is that those he led as the people's general, he wanted them to know that where we have come as a country, dialogue is more like it, negotiation, give a constant system that gives you opportunity to give and take. Now, when you look at what has happened or what has played out in the IPOB matter, you will find that we have actually been the losers. You will say Nigeria have lost at some point, where those lives that are lost are Nigerian lives. But the Igbos have lost lives, lost business, lived environments that are very inclement, and you see quite a lot of exodus of peaceful Igbos to other states, just escape what's going on there. Now, again, I like to say to myself that there are two dimensions as I see it. The request by the Igbo for the release of their son, which should have been preceded by an attempt at home, because there are people who have lost sons, daughters as a result of this uprising. So if we were to protect them legally speaking, using the courts, if we are to look at the issue of maybe insurrection, mutiny, then you begin to, but I think too, where we have come, you know, and I'm looking at the wave of pro-Kanu support, which we had many months ago, is winning. And I think that the Igbo intelligentsia, even when Umahi, then we are governors, all of them, they have always been this effort, one way or the other, to say, look, give us our son, you know. And I think that they also should articulate these things properly. Kanu should be released onto the Igbos. The Igbos should be able to have an undertaking that also says to those soldiers of the Nigerian nation, those policemen of the Nigerian who were innocently slaughtered, that this is a sad commentary this time on this part of history, and that we regret it, you know, because
all the Igbos,
because they
saying that, making an apology.
Look, it's diplomacy. I don't know whether you. What I'm saying is that, for instance, I don't know. Look, okay. Now,
is it what happened during the Civil
War?
No,
the Civil War. No. See.
Or after
the Civil War, what we were told was that there was no victor, no vanquished. You know the words, and then they came with the 3 hours. You know, we were kids then. Now, but the point I'm making is, I'm looking at the new event, IPOB.
Okay.
You know, this one, and I think that we need to act quickly to end this sad chapter. You know, those families of Igbo descent who have lost people, one way or the other, the Igbo nation should find a way of pacifying them. Because somebody maybe thinks at the level of the system that they are protecting, you know, certain interests, people who died, you need to pay, you know, tit for tat. Now, but what you are seeing coming from Igbo land is like, look, let's end this chapter. Give us our son, you know. So, and I think that a lot of, we don't know what's going on behind the scene. A lot of exchanges have been taking place, whether it's at the level of Ohanese, whether it's at the level of the governors. But quite what you are seeing is there is some preference for some out of court settlement, if that's possible. You know, in such a manner that the Igbos will have their son and Nigeria will have peace. You understand? So I think that, frankly, once again, in times like this, when you fight, you fight endlessly and there is no solution. The only solution lies in dialogue. You know, so you can end this chapter.
No, but the concern here has been Igbos have cried out of marginalization. The concern I have now will be releasing Nnamdi Kanu bring an end to these concerns. There are issues that cannot be swept under the carpet, right? And then when you look at the response of when you look at the response of, these are real issues actually. When you look at the response of the federal government to other regions of the country, when they cry out for marginalization, it appears to be quite different from what we have.
I think
in Niger Delta, for example, you know, kidnapping in Nigeria started from Niger Delta. When I can tell you, no, hold on. It started from Niger Delta. Kidnapping of the white men, kidnapping of oil workers, explosion of pipelines. I can go on and on. Cult-related clashes and all that. And in response, the government gave them amnesty, and considerations were given. Now, with respect to Fulani herdsmen and the killer herdsmen going on, and then the government was able to come up with some sort of law to help them in their grazing, right? In their businesses. I can go on and on and on and mention. However, with regards to Igbo agitation, instead of, you know, extending the same olive branch, they were proscribed as a terrorist organization. These are concerns that can never be swept under the carpet. Now, that concretizes to a large extent the feeling of inequity or inequality that Igbos have felt. Now let's go back to the Civil War. When after the war, the Igbos were given only $20.
20 pounds.
20 pounds, thank you very much. 20 pounds, regardless of the
How
amount
much
you had in the bank.
Look.
And no, these are, see, these
Can I
are,
say something?
yes, you will, but
Alright.
these are concerns and these are pains that has to be addressed. We cannot gloss over a wound or a deep wound and say, oh, we've put bandage on it, it's going to be fine. Don't you think, genuinely, there has to be a kind of, like you said, dialogue between the government and this ethnic group so that peace will reign?
Look, first let's go back to the 60s. The events of the 60s, thank God. If you look at what IPOB is saying, what we used to know as an Igbo coup, suddenly is no longer an Igbo coup. Meaning that perhaps it was some action dreamt by young military officers, but the execution of that project in some areas where it succeeded properly and in some areas where it failed woefully gave rise to other thinkings and other counter coups, which resulted in the Civil War at the end of the day. Now, even us who find ourselves on the Biafran side, when I say us, my family, my people, we are not treated differently from the Igbos. In terms of the money, when you came for that money, the exchange. But the point I'm making is that so many years have passed, and so many years are passing with the Igbo nation, known for its industry, has moved from its boundaries into other parts of Nigeria, and where they have been living at peace with their neighbors in Nigeria. And you see, sometimes people forget that now we're talking coalition. There used to be this major arrangements between political parties, and the NCNC that my father was a member of had clear relationship with the MPC, and at that point in time, not much of us had anything about marginalization, did we? We didn't. By the way, I lost a father as a result of that Civil War.
Now, you mentioned Civil War as you came from Obasanjo's perspective of Igbo coup. Let me ask you, what was the when they say
IBB said it. IBB said it.
Okay, sorry, IBB. Now, I wanted to ask, when they say on Aburi we stand, what was that about?
Good. On Aburi we stand, there were certain understandings reached in Ghana made by the Nigerian Biafran side. And of course, you know, when you...
Nigerian Biafra side and, Nigerian Biafra agreement.
That's what I mean. Because by that point in time, we were not talking about an Igbo nation, we were talking about the existence of two countries. Which were, every effort was made to stop them from going to war. You know. Now, the issue, as far as the North was concerned at that time, they were the ones who lost officers. The people were killed mercilessly, and they could trace them to Zegu, Onwategu, them, you know, who young, vibrant soldiers who thought a regime change was necessary in Nigeria at the time. Now, for the Igbos, the counter-force, the killing, the slaughter of innocent Igbos living particularly in the north. You see that Fajuyi died trying to defend, what's his name? This one who declared the unitary state is an Igbo general. He was a general at the time. I can't remember his name, but maybe a long time. You know. But the thing is, frankly,
Are you talking of Odumegwu Ojukwu?
No.
Ojukwu protected. No. What's his name now?
Go ahead, it will come.
Now, that this Ojukwu protected the emir of Kanu now. He was in Kanu. And when he left, we have been told that the child that he gave birth to in the north, he handed over to the emir of Kanu to look after. All throughout the war, nothing happened to that or that branch of his family. You know, so the thing is,
you're talking of Agri-Ironsi.
I tried. The thing just disappeared from my head.
Right.
You know, so this is the thing. But I think that where we have come, if the Yorubas who were used to opposition politics have suddenly moved from being people in the opposition, and they have moved using diplomacy, enter mainstream, and they can be talking about a president. They have had one, they have had another, and there appears to be an exchange. When you finish, hand over the baton to the north. When the thing is coming to the south, we bring the baton back to us. Now, that's where we are. And I think that the Igbos who, under Azikiwe, were able to have a handshake across the Niger, as they called it at the time, with the north. I think the Igbos somewhere along the line may have lost the friendship they had with their those who were their neighbors. And so we need to rekindle that if you're an Igbo, and then try and make friends, you know, and then push your agenda. Because my worry is that if you are increasingly asking for division, increasingly asking for division.
They may not want to give you the power.
It will be difficult for somebody to trust you with power. You know, because who knows what you will do with it when they give it to you.
All right, very well, Chidi.
Let us remember that what Ojukwu canvassed for during the Aburi meeting accord was for confederacy, which at that time Gowon actually assented to, and when he came back, and perhaps it was interpreted to him by his people, he reneged from that. So now you see that the problem that the Igbos are facing in Nigeria is that of marginalization. You remember that when Nnamdi Kanu was incarcerated, detained, that another young man rose up by name Simon Ekpa. He came up, he said he's a disciple of Nnamdi Kanu. He wants to continue. And I want to tell you that even right now that you kill the hundreds of Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa, that ideology will not be killed. It's still there, that the Igbos are being marginalized. For example, the Easterners have only 5 states, whereas the rest of Nigerians have 6 states. In a region where you say you have 6 regions, it's supposed to have been equal. That is still revolving in their psyche, that, come on, if this is not addressed, you are still marginalizing us. How many ministers do you have from the eastern part of the state? You know, for example, in this current administration, you have a lot of ministers coming from Osun State and the Ekiti states and all the rest, the western states, and the Igbos, the eastern states, are having just few. Not even equal to what you have in one state from the west. So this cry of marginalization is still there. Even if you release Nnamdi Kanu today and tie his mouth, others will rise up until that is addressed.
All right, very well, thank you.